How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video, and today we are diving into WebSockets. Now, you might be wondering, what are WebSockets? You may have heard of them. Well, to simplify things, we will just compare it to RedNet. Last video, we talked about RedNet. We have these 3 clients that communicated to this one server. They were able to send messages between one another, and you can do this theoretically across the entire Minecraft world. Now, when we talk about WebSockets, this is how we can connect ComputerCraft computers to, say, my terminal here on my local computer, or even be able to communicate basically just across the entire internet, which is pretty nuts. This is definitely getting to be more advanced because we're talking about creating a server as well as a client. In my case, I created a server with Python, which I'm not going to be diving into Python in this video. I'll put the source in the description if you want to download it and give it a run. But today we're going to focus on the Lua component of this. So let's dive in. Okay, so we're actually going to put together 2 programs here. First one is going to be an example of receiving commands from my Python client here from my actual local computer and executing them in the game. In this case, it's going to activate this redstone lamp. And then after that, we're going to create like a little instant message chat where you can talk like on this computer and on the Python server. All right, so to start off, we are going to need to declare some variables here. The first one is going to be our URL, aka where is our ComputerCraft computer actually talking to. And it's going to start with WS and then whatever link you have. In this case, I'm just using my local client. So I'm going to use my IPv4 address. And then the port that I am using is 8765. Next, we need to define the actual WebSocket and then an error. Because if we do have issues or errors to deal with, we need to actually display them. We're doing it over HTTP because it's just my local computer. And then we're passing this URL through WebSocket. So now what we need to do is take care of what happens if a connection was not established. So we're going to say if not WS, meaning when this command runs and it's not able to connect, then we are going to simply say connection failed. Uh-oh, that sucks. And then we can print out the error message, add in a return and an end, and we can actually run this and see what happens. So we're going to do Python 3 client, and you can see it is running. It's binding all addresses to that port. So if I run command, connection failed, domain not permitted. Now you might be wondering, what does that mean? And this is actually having to do with the ComputerCraft configurations. So I'll show you how to quickly fix that. Go to mods, open mods folder. Here it is. I just do this so I don't have to go find it. When you have this open, go up 1 level to Minecraft, and then go to config. And then look for the ComputerCraft server, which is right here for me, ComputerCraftServer.toml. We will open this up, and you want to find the, want to find the HTTP settings here. Scroll down, and you will find a spot that shows HTTP rules. Now right here, we have host equals private. This basically means it's going to block all private IPs, such as your local host and that IP I just tried to use. So to deal with that, you could just get rid of that and save it, and it should work. So if I close it and return to the game and run it again, you'll see on the Python terminal, ComputerCraft connected. And we got no error. Look at that. So let's say we do it on the wrong IP. We run it again. It's not doing anything, and there we go. Connection failed. Could not connect. That could not connect is the error message here. So I'm going to fix this, and basically if it gets beyond that point, we can say connected and let them know that they're good, they're connected. Awesome. So now we need a loop. We need to basically receive messages and send messages all day until we're done. So we're going to declare a variable for message, local message. And then we're going to do WebSocket receive, or WS, because that's what we set this equal to. And that's basically just going to wait for incoming messages across our WebSocket that we have opened. So we'll say if there's no message for whatever reason, then we need to just say connection closed and break and get out of that loop. Say we do have a message. Well, we need to take this message and set it equal to data. And we're going to have to actually unserialize it because the data that's getting sent is going to be in JSON format, which we can use unserialize JSON message. So now it's going to take our WebSocket message and set it equal to data. Here inside the server, to explain, I specified it as a JSON, and this is the, let's go to client. Here we go. This is the general payload, or the format that the JSON is in. Basically, who it's from, whatever the message is, and a timestamp, which I'm actually not even posting the timestamp, so this is actually irrelevant. Now, we can go through this data and parse it. So we need another if. We're going to check that, make sure that there is actually data. Otherwise, there's no point in trying to parse it. We're going to say from, because there is a from inside here, and we're going to say data.from, because that is what it is called, lowercase f. So we also have a message. All right, so let's do print message, data.message, just like that. And we can, let's just put in a little space here, make it look nice. So now we can actually print these messages out. Let's run it. Now we're connected. All right. Now if we type inside this terminal, we can talk to the computer in the game. So let's say hello. As you can see, in the game, it says from Python, just because that is what I set my name here. So we can actually change this. We can say cyberquills. And I'm going to exit this. You'll see that as soon as I terminated this script, the connection got closed, which that's pretty cool. So let's run it again, run this again, and let's say hello. There we go. So now it says from cyberquills. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so how do we actually execute some commands? Basically, we can just parse it from this data.message. For instance, we could put in another if statement. This is like a pretty simple way of doing it. But let's say if data.message equals redstone.back.on, for example, then we can just set an output through the back. And we can also print out that command received, activating redstone. Otherwise, we can say if data.message redstone back off, so we want to turn the lamp off, we can do the same thing, but we can make this false. And we'll say deactivating redstone. So let's see what happens. We'll terminate this. I also noticed, I don't know if anyone else has encountered this, but I can't control T because some keybind got changed in this latest all the mods version. So there is a button you can click, this little stop button, and it'll terminate the program. So command, the lamp is off. Let's say redstone back on. There we go. So we got the command activating redstone. It is now turned on. That's pretty awesome. Now let's turn it off. Redstone back off. And now it's off. So that's a simple example of how you can kind of create your own commands. All right, so let's move on to the instant messenger. This is a little bit more complicated because we're setting up a two-way channel of sending and receiving. So it's going to be pretty similar to start. In fact, I am just going to copy and paste this. It's going to be the same way. So this is how we actually connect to the server. Except for here, I am going to say type exit to quit. So let's declare ourselves a function. Function send messages. And we will also need a function for receiving messages. All right, so let's work on this one first. So we're going to do a while true loop inside of here. And we're just going to write a little thing to show that it's you sending a message, so you know that which messages are yours, because you're going to be able to see the history, chat history. So we'll put that there, and then we need to actually collect input. So we're going to do a local variable message equals read. Now we want to make sure that we want to check if it equals exit, because that is a little command to be able to exit our script here. So if message equals exit, then we will error. And I will explain why I'm doing error in just a moment. But this error is going to safely exit our script. Now we need to basically construct a JSON to send to the server. That is the format I am doing it in. So we're going to do local payload, do some curly braces, and we're going to do two objects. We're going to do a from and a message. So we'll do from, we'll say ComputerCraft, and then our message is just going to be equal to message. Now, once we got that constructed, we can go ahead and send that through our WebSocket, but we do need to serialize it with text utils. Serialize JSON, and then we put our payload inside of here. Now, I'll take our payload and put it in proper JSON format. Remember, WS is just shorthand for WebSocket. We just made it like that with our declaration up here. Saves us time. So that is all we need to do for actually sending messages. Now for receiving messages, it's going to be pretty similar. We're going to do another while loop. We're going to do basically, we're going to call WebSocket.receive and set it equal to reply, kind of like RedNet. So we're going to check that reply actually, if we actually got anything. So if reply, we are going to unserialize the JSON and store it as data, pretty similar to our first program. So now we got to make sure that we have actual data. So check if data. And we're doing this like the if reply, if data. We're doing that just as a form of input validation. It's a good practice to make sure that your script doesn't error because it's missing something that it expected. So this is a way for us to check for that. And if something is missing, we can safely exit the script, kind of control the output or what happens. No one likes a program that crashes on them. Not very reliable. So we're actually going to do a new line just so that we can make sure all of the messages are separate on their own lines. So we'll do new line and then concatenate data.from. And then we're going to put in this greater than sign just kind of to signify like this is the separator between the author and the message contents. So we'll concatenate that to data.message. It should look similar to this format here where I do u greater than, then it'll be the message. This is going to be server and then message. We'll do an else. If there is no data, then we are just going to post new line reply. Or we could have gotten a reply, but have no data. So that's why we just kind of post what's there. It doesn't mean that the connection died. It just means that maybe an incorrectly formatted message got sent. But in this case, what happens if we get no reply at all? This is where we would say connection closed. And you know what? We're going to do a new line character and then error. And it'll safely exit the script. Okay, so now how do we actually run these? We're actually going to use parallel. And we're going to do wait for any. And we're going to call our two functions, send messages and receive messages. What this does is it's going to run both of these concurrently until either one of them finishes or errors. That's why we exit the script with errors, because that is what will terminate this parallel.wait for any. So let's go ahead and run this. Python 3 server. All right, so now we can do IM. Let's see. Let's look at this. I have a colon there. That's I was just doing some Python and it does colons for their ifs and then, so got that mixed up. It happens. Let's try it again. There we go. So we are connected. We see our U. We see client connected in our terminal. So let's just send a message. Oh, all right. So we got ourselves a little problem here. I was troubleshooting this a little bit and I realized I actually ran the wrong Python script. I need to run chat server. That is my bad. There we go. Chat server is running. Run IM. We're connected. So let's do hello. How are you doing today? There we go. Now inside of the terminal, I can talk and say, I'm doing well. How about yourself? And you can see it shows up in game. We can type kind of whatever we want. I'll keep going. This is the parallel wait for any doing its thing, running both of these functions together at the same time. So let's say, I suppose we can just terminate this script, and you can see that the script just closed, which is great. So that is those are two examples of how you can use WebSocket with your ComputerCraft terminals. You can do a bi-directional messaging between your ComputerCraft and your local computer, or wherever you decide to run these commands from. And I also showed you how to execute commands in-game from this local terminal as well. Things will be different if you go through a public provider or a server, or if you are playing ComputerCraft in a public server, things may be different. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful and informative. We are drawing near the end of the beginner series. I think we've covered most of the fundamentals. And by this point, if you've been following along through the series, you should be getting to be pretty proficient at putting together some basic scripts. Don't expect too many more beginner videos. I think we will be moving on to more advanced concepts and program showcases. And not only that, but I definitely want to dive into different programming languages as well. So stay tuned for that. As always, our Discord is open. We hit 104 members, which is awesome. So come in, and if you have video ideas or just want to chat, just feel free to do so. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.